All right, picture this. It's a totally normal Tuesday morning at the office. You walk in, grab your coffee, everything looks perfectly fine on the surface. But underneath, there's this low-burning tension just humming in the air. Today, in this explainer, we're diving into a fascinating case study called The Shared Drive Owner Nobody Checked. We're going to see exactly how a completely ordinary, honestly kind of boring digital object, just a standard shared drive folder, became the ultimate, undeniable piece of evidence in a massive corporate cover-up. It's a really tense story, full of stolen credit, calculated office politics, and those stubborn digital footprints that we all leave behind, whether we mean to or not.
Strategy lead Maya Carter hit the nail on the head with this one. She says, the dangerous documents never look dangerous first. I mean, think about that for a second. When corporate cover-ups actually happen in the real world, they almost never involve top-secret, password-protected files with giant red warning labels on them. No, the absolute biggest secrets? They're usually just hiding right there in plain sight. They get tucked away in the most mundane, everyday administrative records, mostly because senior executives are just way too busy to ever double-check them.
So to really get what went down here, we got to talk about our core theme, quiet labor. Quiet labor is all that administrative, background organizational work that actually forms the true strategic foundation of any given project. But, and here's the kicker, powerful people often steal credit for these major projects by taking that complex strategic architecture built by someone else and basically just reclassifying it as a mere administrative task. They call it organizing, right? All while they happily take the credit for the actual strategy.
And that brings us to the glitch in the matrix, the anomaly that blew this whole investigation wide open. Sofia Lane, who is this quiet but absolutely brilliant operations coordinator, had her name completely, intentionally erased from the official project presentation deck. The company line was that she just wasn't part of the core strategic team. But there was this one stubborn little piece of metadata that refused to play along. Sofia was still listed as the owner of the shared drive folder. It was just one small, lingering digital footprint, literally just waiting to be found. Let's look at the corporate spin for a second. The senior executive taking the credit, Claire Benton, had this perfectly polished alibi. She claimed Sofia was merely assigned to organize materials. Just a harmless admin task. But the reality? Sofia didn't just organize anything. She built the entire strategic foundation from the ground up. Creative credit was literally being stolen in broad daylight, all disguised as just routine workflow alignment. Now, I absolutely love how Sofia handled this. She didn't freak out. She didn't get overly emotional. Because look, panic just gives powerful people the time they need to cover their tracks. Instead, Sofia went with the strategy of cold, calm, forensic curiosity. She simply checked the file properties. She read the small print that the executives always skip over. And then she asked 3 lethal questions. What changed? Who changed it? And who gained power when it changed?
This calm, collected vibe is exactly what Maya Carter calls a proof map. Maya uses raw data to cut right through subjective, toxic excuses. Step 1, identify the object and its true owner. Step 2, check the exact timestamp. Step 3, note the missing approval trail. And Step 4, expose the public risk. Notice how none of this relies on office gossip or emotion. It's just a mathematical progression of facts that slowly but surely sucks the air out of every single lie in the room. But you know how these things go. The corporate machine pushes back. Claire Benton drops this classic line, be careful not to turn every inconsistency into a personal war. Do you see how toxic culture weaponizes politeness? It disguises intense pressure as gentle, helpful career mentorship. It actively tries to make the victim feel like they're the one being unreasonable simply for reading facts out loud. It was a highly calculated move to pressure Sofia into staying quiet. I actually want you to pause for a second here. Ask yourself a really critical question. Who benefits if all of this just stays hidden? This is exactly where our investigation shifts from just looking at data on a screen to looking at actual human motive. When a system accidentally forgets to give someone credit, who's walking away with the bonus? Who gets the promotion and the glory? I promise you, the answer to that is never an accident.
Okay, this is where it gets incredibly good. Enter Nina, the executive assistant with an absolute game changer of an insight. We'll call this Nina's rule, and it's a huge takeaway for this explainer. Nina's rule states, background work still has foreground records. People who treat administrative tasks as invisible completely forget that invisible work actually sees everything. Rooms are booked, drafts get saved, calendar invites are forwarded. There is always a footprint.
Let's actually map this out because the tension here is wild. Nina uncovers the true timeline. First, the room is booked. Then, planning notes are drafted. After that, the subfolders are created entirely by Sofia. And only then does the official kickoff meeting actually take place. These digital footprints completely prove that Sofia was architecting this project way, way before the senior executives even sat down in a room for their first official meeting. And just to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, IT audit specialist Jordan Price pulls the receipts. He gets the raw system export. We're looking at the exact timestamp, the specific action, the owner, and the attached notes. This isn't some cinematic Hollywood hacking montage. It is just an irrefutable, undeniable sequence of file creation logs. And it completely, totally shatters the official story that Sofia was just doing some light filing after the fact.
Okay, and right here, this is the smoking gun. This is the exact moment everything flips. Nina found that Sofia created every single subfolder before the kickoff meeting even happened, and she attached strategic planning notes to each and every one of them. Sofia wasn't just organizing someone else's strategy, she authored the whole thing. She built the entire architecture before the team even met. The proof is undeniable, and it's sitting right there in the shared drive logs.
Jordan Price sums it up flawlessly. Seriously, this quote is everything. This is not suspicion, this is sequence. That is such a massively powerful takeaway. When you find yourself fighting for your credit or your ideas at work, you don't need to rely on drama or messy he said, she said arguments. Rely on the sequence. Just let the cold, hard system logs do all the talking for you.
Of course, the cover-up squad isn't done yet. They start politely fighting back, throwing out all those polished corporate buzzwords to make erasing Sofia seem like a practical business decision. Suddenly, everyone's talking about context and the team outcome and leadership visibility. They try to brush the whole thing off as just a quirky process issue. It's a classic move to make the truth feel like an administrative glitch instead of deliberate theft. But then, analyst Aisha Morgan just completely shifts the energy in the room. She shrinks everything down with one devastating question. Who benefits if the stay is classified as a harmless process issue? See, office lies survive when the harm is kept vague. But the very second you force a room full of people to acknowledge exactly who is benefiting from that vague excuse, the entire corporate theater just collapses.
Watch how Maya shuts this down. It is so cold and so precise. She doesn't yell, she doesn't argue, she just places the undeniable proof on the table piece by piece. First, the original record, then the changed version, the exact timestamp, and finally, the deliberately omitted name. The structured, chronological order of the evidence is doing all the heavy lifting for her. Every single excuse just evaporates.
I am obsessed with this line from Maya. I am not asking you to trust me. I am asking you to trust the record you created. Wow. She isn't begging for blind trust from these executives. She is effectively trapping them inside their own digital trails. It's honestly a masterclass in holding powerful people accountable to the exact same systems that they themselves implemented.
So the executives finally cave. They offer Sofia a quiet little sorry about that behind closed doors. But Maya? No way. She enforces a new rule. The correction cannot be private. Think about it. A stolen credit system survives on silent patches. If you only fix the theft in private, nobody else learns where the trap was. Maya demands a public correction to directly match the very public erasure of Sofia's name. She actually takes it a step further, too. It's not just about fixing what happened. It's about hardwiring accountability into the system itself. Maya implements a mandatory shared drive ownership review, then validating original credit. And it all concludes with mandatory public recognition before any project closeouts happen or bonuses are paid. She guarantees that if anyone tries this specific credit theft again, they are going to leave a massive footprint.
Independent board member Elise Warren hits us with the ultimate truth here. A system that cannot show who built the work is not a fair system. Because true workplace justice, it isn't just about catching the bad actors when they mess up. It's about changing the actual architecture of how work gets recognized. You literally have to write the lesson into the daily workflow. Look, we also have to talk about the human side of all this. Surviving that kind of corporate disbelief, the emotional cost is absolutely exhausting. Credit theft isn't just a career roadblock, it's a memory issue. It takes a massive toll. It teaches incredibly talented, quiet builders to just constantly doubt whether their hard work will ever truly be safe. So what's the big takeaway from this whole explainer? It's that organization is often exactly where strategy begins.
especially when someone else wants to conveniently call it admin. Don't ever let anyone belittle your quiet organizational labor. The structure you build literally is the strategy. Protect your digital footprints and hey, never be afraid to check those file properties.
I'm going to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on today. Who benefits if your quiet labor stays classified as harmless? The next time someone tries to brush off your massive contributions as just organizing materials, I want you to remember this explainer. Remember this sequence. And always remember that the record will gladly wait for someone patient enough to read it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.